Gilby and I met each other in the maybe early mid 80's, right around there. And I joined his band, which was called Candy. And from that day on, then all of hair metal exploded. That whole Cat House, Ricky Rackman, Tammy Down scene. In fact, there it is. Our producer
got a lot of hair there.
That was a lot of hair and a lot of hairspray, if you guys can imagine. I think the best way to describe how we met in Candy is that if you guys want to go and watch that episode of Brady Bunch, the Johnny Bravo, where he wears the suit, because I kind of fit in with you guys at that point.
Yeah, you're perfect.
But explain to people what Candy was and how it kind of fit in the scene, but it didn't either.
Yeah. Well, Candy was interesting because, like you said, hard rock and metal was really happening at that time. And to be honest, I was really never a metal guy, a hard rock guy. I mean, of course I liked, bands like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath, but, it wasn't really my thing. I actually liked a lot of English, music, like I love the Clash. I love the Pretenders when they came out in like 1980. So Candy was really just about four guys that kind of like different music. And we all kind of had that Ramones kind of black hair, leather jackets, torn jeans look. But our music was much more on the pop side. It's like people would say we're like the Bay City Rollers, which we really weren't. I mean, we had like loud guitars and stuff, but the music was definitely more on the pop side. We definitely idolized like Billy Idol and things like that. But so yeah, when the band started, it was the early 80's. And then, we had made a record, we did a video, we're on tour and all this kind of things, but, things weren't really working, and bands like Poison and Motley Crue were really getting big. So we kind of thought there was time to make some changes. So our singer wasn't really getting along with the band and stuff. So he left the band. And we found you, Ryan, and you were like the perfect candidate for the band.
I think I fit the leather jacket. I definitely used the same brand of hair dye. Do you remember that brand? It was Black Azure.
I could probably still use it today.
The best hairline in rock and roll. I always wear hats, but Gilby, you don't have to. That's great.
What happened?
No, what was it? Black Azure.
Geez, boys, I can't. I can't remember. But yeah, it's like black and blue or something like that. Yeah.
And it was definitely Aquanet unscented. I always tried to go for the unscented, but sometimes you had to sacrifice the scented at a show.
You had to do whatever was left over in the store.
You ended up smelling like a pensioner, an older lady that had a bouffant hair, or Mike Monroe's haircut for that matter. So we did Candy for a few years. We played around in the thing that I enjoyed about being in Candy, of course, just learning the ropes and all of a sudden jumping into a band that was popular among the LA scene. I remember one of my most it's sort of etched in my head is that you guys were known. So I sort of rode the coattails. In fact, maybe that's a pattern of my life right now. I get to ride the coattails of a lot of acts that are already established. But we ended up going into a gig one night at the Roxie, and everybody knew who you were. And the band was Candy, but we were there to see two new up and coming bands. And one was LA Guns, and they were opening up for another band called Guns N' Roses. And I remember all of us kind of looked at each other and we said, well, okay, I guess we're going to start playing heavier and things kind of changed collectively for all of us, which of course, years later, and the way history works itself out, you end up playing in maybe you even played in an LA Guns band lineup at one point.
Probably.
Isn't that the rite of passage? You might have played in all those bands.
Exactly.
Because for everybody pretty much knows the story of Gilby Clarke of that band, of being a GNR. But I don't think, and this is why I wanted you on the podcast, so we could talk about the other types of bands, the other bands that you've been in with Candy and Kill for Thrills, Colonel Parker. Maybe a few of you out there don't know that Gilby played guitar for Nancy Sinatra. Yeah. Did some touring with Heart as well. And don't forget Rockstar Supernova. So, I mean, and it goes on and on. So it's just not just one band, maybe one band that people associate you with and then go from there. But also this is what I think is the most impressive when I was doing the research. 8 solo records, right? Is this going to be your?
I've lost count, Ryan. Thank God you're counting.
I didn't. 8 of them. That's including blues. That is including the EP blues, and I was on that.
Yeah, you're on that record too. Yes, there you are. Yeah, I know. That's what's funny is, it's interesting. I mean, as far as the solo record stuff, I never intended, to be a solo artist. It was really just a matter of, at that time, it was right when GNR had gotten off the like a long road trip, and we weren't going to do anything for a while, and I had a bunch of songs, from another band, the Blackouts, which was in between Kill for Thrills and Guns N' Roses. I had a band called the Blackouts, and that's where songs like Tijuana Jail were written. And I didn't have anything really to do with those songs. It's like, GNR wasn't interested, the band was going to make a record. So I made the first solo record, Pawn Shop Guitars. And then as time went by, it just kind of like, oh, you got some new songs. You have enough songs for a record. Let's make another record, then another one. And like I said, now we have 8 solo records. Look at that vinyl.
And here's the thing, what I find very interesting, because it all comes back again. In the new video, I find you in a guitar pawn shop.
Yes, I know.
And we'll talk about the video later. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it is funny how things do come complete circle. So we're in Candy. And then that band, when I tell the history of it, it basically splintered off into Kill for Thrills and the band that I joined with the other guys in Candy called Electric Angels. And we actually would play the same clubs. We'd play the same scene. We were in that mid 80s, sort of, I guess you can't really say hair metal.
Yeah, it wasn't hair metal at all. You're right. Yeah. I mean, I always thought it's funny because we had clubs like Scream and Cat House and White Trash. And those, you could probably consider Cat House maybe a little more along the hair metal things, where Ricky would never let you say that. But
of course not.
It really wasn't, they would have, Alice in Chains, played Cat House and stuff.
Yeah, Alice in Chains. I was going to say Alice in Chains was very, very popular amongst the Scream and sort of the downtown club and the
Chains Addiction and all those bands. So it's funny. It's like, I think people have a very distorted view of what those years really was. It wasn't just one scene. It was a lot of different scenes, and like you said, we weren't really a part of the metal thing, the Sunset Strip thing, even though we did play the Roxy, the Whiskey, the Troubadour. We really weren't a part of it,
Yeah, but we were able to sort of because of your guys' history with that, because I know that you had lasted through the first wave of metal, because you were the pop rock band, but you always played with a Les Paul and looked cool as fuck. So that kind of gave you a pass amongst the Wasp fans, the Rat fans, the Motley fans. And then when that switch made to like you said, the newer bands like Poison and GNR and Faster Pussycat, then all of a sudden we kind of fit in there as well. But we eventually went to New York. You guys stayed in Los Angeles. Kill for Thrills made how many records was that?
We made 2 records. I mean, really 1.5.
1.5. Okay. I gotcha. Well, I still remember the day you called me and you said, "Hey man, I'm in New York. Or actually I'm in Boston, but I'm
that's right. You were at the very first gig I did with GNR. Yeah.
Second,
I don't know if you were at it.
I was at the second.
Oh, the second one, but it was at the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, you called me. No, because didn't you play Boston Garden first night? And then...
Oh, did you go to the New York one? But yeah, I saw you guys in Boston. Which was my first show with the band, and like I said, I saw you guys like when I was there. I do remember that too.
I just remember getting a call saying, "Hey, I'm playing New York. So, you want to come to the show?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, man. What club?" And you go, "It's not a club. It's Madison Square Garden." And this was before, folks. You have to understand, this is before you could just put it on Twitter or put it on your Insta story. It was like, no, this was something that was big, and I somehow kept it really under wraps.
Yeah, it happened so fast. Is kind of like what happened. It was kind of like, oh my God, you're in the band, and we're playing a show next week. So it did happen really, really quick.
Hello folks, Roxie here. Thanks for watching the video. And if you liked it, hit the subscribe button or one of the videos around me to watch more. If you'd like to, please leave a comment. If you didn't like the video, maybe you'll forget how to type.